Journalism. Elgin became an incorporated city in 1854 and installed its first police marshal, George W. Renwick. Over the years, the title of the head law enforcement officer changed from marshal to chief. And although the role has expanded, one duty has remained consistent: to ensure law and order for the citizens of Elgin.
It's time now for Fridays with the Finest, featuring Elgin's current police chief, Anna Lalley, on Elgin's hometown radio station since 1949, WRMN AM 1410 and 96.7 FM.
Negative K, nothing further, just Kitty Canby in the corner.
Friday morning, it's 9:01 here on WRMN AM 1410 and WRMN Radio on YouTube. We just fired up a new YouTube stream. So if you would like to rejoin us, please do. WRMN Radio on YouTube today. Chief is here. Badge 240 from the Elgin Police Department, and we're ready for a great show. Hi, Chief.
Good. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. I heard you this morning with Larry.
Right. Talking about the homeless situation a little bit.
No, I didn't hear that part.
Okay.
I heard the very first part about how, I'm BFFs with Larry, and I used to like you, and
right. I can settle for second best.
that's okay. I like Larry. Larry, he's, I like you too, Mark. So don't, right. It's kind of he used to be a police chief, so I can respect the work that he had to do.
Right.
And I can appreciate him for his, sometimes I'm sure he had some challenges, and so I have, I can relate. And
right.
But that doesn't mean that you're number two. That you guys you're equal. You're the WRMN number ones there. How about that?
Okay.
There you go.
I can settle for that. So you don't think all my ideas are crazy?
When you was talking about how I just give you a look, I just give you the look.
Yeah.
So, yes.
We're not going to be raiding Tent City anytime soon.
We're not doing that. No. He just told. I didn't hear that part. I walked out and he told me that, and I said, okay, I need to go in there and let Mark know that we do care about him. He's still part of our number one. Yes. So
sometimes
can't replace you, Mark.
Sometimes just casual talk. We just happen to have microphones in front of us, so that thoughts that come to mind just come out, and they happen to come out on the air.
Yeah, I know. That's kind of dangerous as a radio show host. I mean, depends who your audience is, depends what they believe. But hey, you just whatever makes you happy, Mark. So
anyway, that's another topic for another day, I guess.
That's another topic for another day.
Yeah.
So all right, I want to just do a couple quick hits and then get into my guests here today. I always like to bring people from the Elgin Police Department, different people, so that the community gets to see the great men and women who are doing the work in Elgin and get to see them behind the scenes. But before I do that, I want to say a couple things. Tomorrow is the McDonald's charity game.
Yeah.
Thank you for promoting that all week. So we obviously had the Bear family on the show last week, and so I want to say thank you again to them for their partnership. So if anyone can make it, it starts at 5 o'clock tomorrow. It sounds like the weather's going to be pretty decent this week.
It is. Well, it's going to be hot.
Yeah, so
But
better that than
good day
rain.
for baseball, I guess.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be hot for baseball, I suppose.
So
Yeah.
I wanted to mention that. Also, thank you to the United Civic Association. They presented the police department with an award. They do it every year. This year, Sergeant Will Eucitis, who's one of our brand new sergeants, went there to accept the award on behalf of the police department. So thank you to them for recognizing us. We appreciate you guys. And then I wanted to say thank you to some of our retired members. So last Saturday, we hosted a retired officer cookout. So we do it. We've been doing it, I think, 4 years now, 4, maybe 5. We invite retired members to come. We do a cookout. They get to qualify, to carry a handgun since they're retired law enforcement. So it's really great to see. We had a good group of officers there, and sitting down and talking to them about some of the things that they used to do and how policing used to be.
Yeah.
I will tell you though, a lot of the young officers don't know them, so there's a handful of us that that got hired with them. They were towards the end of their career when we got hired. So, to keep that kind of connection going between the next generation and the older generation is important to me. And so I want to say thank you to them. First of all, thank you to all our retirees for your service and what you do. And, that's just a little way that we can show our appreciation and honor them, is just to invite them in and see the department, see how it changes. It's funny, one of the officers that came in, I worked with him when I got hired, and he was I think I only worked with him a couple of years. Then he retired, and we worked on the midnight shift together. And he walked in, and he was basically like, "Anna, where's the coffee?" Because the younger generation of officers don't drink regular coffee. I think Kevin does, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Kayla, I don't know if you drink
I
coffee.
like it black.
Okay, so yeah, but a lot of the younger generation, they're drinking energy drinks, and it's not that
Yeah.
like typical coffee pot thing. So
Yeah.
I was like, I'll go make you some coffee. I got it, right? Like, so.
Energy drinks, maybe iced coffee?
Yeah, no, a lot of energy drinks,
Yeah.
right? Like it's,
They love the Starbucks. I mean,
yeah, Starbucks,
Yeah.
but just, your black coffee from a coffee pot, like, kind of the old school thing. So I
Yeah.
was like, I will go make the coffee for you. Just give me a second. So
there's no such thing as decaf at the police
there you
department
go.
either.
Yeah, I never understood.
I don't
people
understand decaf anyway. Me either.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I guess it's more
Coffee's
for the
not
taste.
that great, I don't think.
Yeah.
I don't think it's that great in the first place. So why would you drink decaf coffee? You're drinking coffee for the kind of
the taste. I mean,
the
I
little bit of
guess,
effect
yeah.
it gives helps you wake up or whatever.
So anyhow, I wanted to say thank you to them and appreciate their service. Thank you, Mark, for promoting our transparency site. I know you've been doing that the past couple days.
Yeah.
And just a reminder, the 3 dates, September 4th, September 10th, September 18th, and there will be food. So that's the part that I heard the announcement there. You're forgetting the most important part, that there's food, right?
Yeah.
So whoever does your announcements,
Is
when
that
you
on
do
the
those-
flyer?
Yeah.
There's
Tacos.
There will be food and it's
Yeah,
on the
there's
flyer?
on there.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got to read the
So-
fine print then, I guess, or go
Yes.
deeper into the flyer.
Yes,
Okay.
that's the catch, right? That's what's going to hopefully let some people come out, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully they'll learn something about the Transparency Hub, but there's food, and food usually brings people together.
Three
So,
different chances to come and
Yes.
learn about the Elgin Police Department Transparency Hub and how to use it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So thank you for promoting that. I also, in the next couple weeks here, I want to talk a little bit more about the Civilian Review Board. Their applications are now being accepted to be a member of the Civilian Review Board,
Yeah.
which this is part 2. Part 1 was creating the selection committee. Selection committee has been formed. That was finalized at the city council meeting last week. The next step is for the selection committee, which includes me, a member of the police union, and these 3 members of the community who were part of the Community Task Force on Policing, to get together to do interviews of people who are putting in for the Civilian Review Board. So if anyone is interested in doing that, if you go on the city's website, there's tons of information. There's an application. So I'm going to talk a little bit more in detail about that in the next upcoming weeks to make sure that people have the right information.
Yeah.
The Civilian Review Board and how it works. The ultimate say in discipline still remains with the police chief. These are recommendations that are made. So it's very important that people understand the difference of what the authority and power of the Civilian Review Board, what it is per ordinance, because I don't want people to have the wrong information. So in the next coming weeks, I'll be talking about that.
Yeah, and I think the original application deadline was the end of August maybe, and that's been extended a little bit. I saw a
Yeah.
second release
Yes.
that said September the 9th
Yes, yes.
is the deadline for the application, so.
Yep, and it will, the Civilian Review Board by ordinance is 9 members and 5-4 quorum, and so, we need to do our interviews, and our recommendation from the selection committee will go to the city council. They will have the final say. So it's just important that people understand what this is, how it works. I know that some people might make, comparisons to, there are other Civilian Review Boards with different type of powers. So it's important that, the ordinance is online if anybody wants to see it, to read it. I'll talk about it in the next couple of weeks. People can call in and ask me any questions. So it's important to me that the right information is out there.
Okay.
And then, you had talked about, one day I listened in and you were talking about a call for service. I think it was last Saturday at State in Walnut.
Yeah, I
so-
was going down 31 and saw a bunch of police cars kind of rush into the scene there, and I saw a fire truck.
Yeah, so if it was around noon, so there was a call around 12.
That sounds about right, yeah.
There was a traffic crash involving a motorcycle that
Oh.
happened right in front of the Walnut Inn. So if that's the one we're talking about, and this morning I quickly just looked to see, and again I want to remind everyone, you can hop on our Transparency Hub and look for calls for service, and it's on there. So I just did that this morning and quickly just kind of did I didn't know whether your specific time, but there was a call right there in front of the Walnut Inn where there was
Yeah.
an accident. So that's part of kind of the education with the community is that, people can go on there and kind of get some of this information, but they have to know how to use it. So that's why we want to do as much as we can to push that out to the community, so that they, can kind of do their research, and if they have questions about specific incidents, they know where to find it.
Okay. Yeah, and I also heard there was a pretty bad crash involving a motorcycle on McLean Boulevard yesterday. So these, it's that time of the year where motorcyclists are out there, and hard to say who's at fault when you don't know, but I know I just see motorcycles blazing around all the time, weaving in and out of traffic, and I wish there was a better way to enforce that. I know it's hard with motorcycles, right?
Definitely. I mean, the officers still do, but, obviously you can imagine if, if they're going much faster than what the officers will, and if they're going in and out of traffic, it does make it more difficult, and the officers have to consider the safety of the community. And there are other mechanisms where we can eventually, if we need to, try to backtrack and figure out who people are, and then issue citations if that's what comes of it. So, but I wanted to let you know, just obviously, I heard you talk about that call. So with that, I wanted to talk a little bit about summer. Summer's done, and kind of getting into the school year. Talk about some of who are the officers out and about in the community. So I had heard on one of your shows, there's a gentleman that called in, I think you and I talked about it, and they were talking about Kevin Snow. And so, do you remember? So I said to Kevin, hey, someone is talking about you in a good way. They always talk about Kevin.
That's a good thing.
Yes. And, I said, it's a good opportunity for you to come on the show. So whoever, I can't remember his name, but if he's listening, call in, right? I can't remember who it was. But Kevin is here to talk a little bit about what he does.
Might have been Al Cox, maybe.
No, it wasn't Al Cox.
Wasn't Al?
He went to high school with him, so I don't remember, but he was going on about where they used to work, and he's a really good guy, and he'd always wanted to be a police officer. I learned a lot about Kevin Snow.
Were they confused with somebody else?
No, I think
There's lots of Kevin Snows running around.
No. So Kevin is here, and then also with us today is Officer Kayla Heel. So Officer Kayla Heel is you've been an officer for what now? How many?
3 years.
3 years, and she recently is one of our new NOPE officers, which is our Neighborhood Officer Program of Elgin. So she's going to talk a little bit about that. So why don't we start with you, Kayla? Introduce yourself, who you are, what you do, what your primary assignment is, and a little bit about your NOPE neighborhood.
Yeah, so I'm Officer Kayla Heel. I'm assigned to the afternoon shift, so 2:30 to 10:45. Usually work weekends a couple days during the week because I'm a glutton for punishment. I love the weekend busyness. I'm assigned to the 501 area, which is Wing Street to the north between McLean and the river. So there's a lot of housing communities with low-income neighborhoods. There's a couple fun places in between. There's a couple schools. Traffic's, for the most part, not too bad. There's a lot of older people in my area as well, which I like engaging with them and hearing them and listening to their stories and just kind of seeing what they need, because I feel a lot of times there's resources for them that they're not aware of. And then my NOPE assignment is a couple blocks within that small area. So Mark Avenue, Getzelman, and Abbott. So those 3 blocks have a lot of apartments, lower income, a lot of kids. I will say there's not a lot of crime going on there right now, which for me is great. I have a lot of time to just kind of hang out and talk to people and, hey, how's your landlord? How are your neighbors? How's everything? How's traffic? And just kind of hear what their complaints are, what's going on. Yesterday I was watching a group of kids, probably 7 to 10 years old, playing soccer in a church parking lot, and they looked like they could take on some high school kids. So
hey, look
just
at
seeing
that. Or the Elgin Police Department.
Oh yeah, I don't think they could.
Elgin Police Department's better at softball. You'll see that tomorrow night.
Yeah, that's what I hear. But it sounds like McDonald's got the roster.
They're loaded this year?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Oh.
So with that too, you just did a party for National Night Out, and you partnered. You want to talk a little bit? How did that go, and how was the engagement with the community, and just from your perspective as a younger officer, someone that's only been here for 3 years, what does that community engagement for you do? I mean, how does that, the relationships that you're building?
Every job I've had, and I've done some charity work. I've kind of worn a lot of hats, and I'm a younger officer, but I'm 34 years old and only been on. So being a part of a little bit of an older generation coming in now is definitely, I would say it gives me a little bit of a different insight than the other younger officers coming in, just, generational differences. But I grew up, my grandparents raised me. I grew up on a farm in a tiny community. Everybody knows everybody, their birthdays, their dog's birthdays. Everybody knows everybody's business.
The dog's birthdays too? Wow.
Must have been
It must have been like 10 people in the community.
Yeah, so-
Where was it?
Varna, Illinois.
Okay.
Population 400.
Wow.
Yeah, you
With or
probably,
without the dogs?
Yes. That's why they have to include the dogs.
yeah. So, and with that caveat, it's like, oh man, everybody's in my business. But when anything happens, even if it's slightly negative, there's so many people there to help out, to either provide some kind of assistance financially or just be there, or like, send a dish if somebody's in trouble. And moving towards larger populated areas, in college and all that, I kind of lost that. So having the same area and the same smaller areas that I run around in, it's really nice to kind of see, this guy is walking around and he lives over here, and, just catching up with him. Hey, how's your kids? How's this? How's your job? And just getting to know people and how they are. Also, and it's that day and age where some people just don't like the police, and it is what it is. The media is out there. Some kids, their parents say, stay away from police. And I think building positive, engaging activities, or just even stumbling upon somebody, be like, hey, how are you? How's your day? And just having a quick 5-minute conversation with them makes them realize that we're also human, and we also realize that they are just going about their days as well. And unfortunately for me, that's led to a lot of people calling me on my days off, or calling me after something's already happened and they've built a report with somebody else, and then they'll tell me what happened, and then I have a little bit more work to do because they tell me more stuff. But I'd rather have that than these people not feel like they can come forward with information or even just concerns that they want to address. So it's very nice having the same area and just keep getting to know them, and based off of past calls for service, even if we have only had a call for service with them once in the last year, I'll sometimes remember them, and they like that.
Yeah.
So
Kayla's been here 3 years, kind of getting into the community engagement, learning to know your community, building those relationships that last for a long time. And then we have Kevin Snow, which I think everybody probably knows. Joanne Stingley, Kevin Snow. There's a lot of people that in the community, because of what they do and the relationships that they've been building, so for a very long time. So Kevin, talk a little bit, how long have you been here? What does your day consist of, being in the crime-free housing unit, and kind of the community engagement component of that as well?
Sure. So I'm on my 23rd year here with the Elgin Police Department.
Really?
Yeah. And people are making fun of me because my hair is getting gray now. I drink black coffee at times, but yeah. So I've been here I grew up in Elgin, actually, and so I already had that edge. But I've been here 23 years, and I established many relationships with people in our community, and that is patrol is the backbone of our police department. The officers on the street, and I have been I'm part of the crime-free housing unit. So the crime-free housing unit assists patrol, and then we also work with quality of life issues. So our division is designed, there's 3 officers in division. One is assigned to the downtown area, and then myself and Officer Miller, we're crime-free housing officers. And then we have support officers, the NOPE officers, that also work with us. So a normal day for me, usually I'll come in, sometimes getting phone calls or emails. Emails can come from community members, officers on the street, like Officer Heel, and administration or public works or code department. It could be anything from drug complaints to I have a homeless family living in a car, and the kid goes to Kimball Middle School. Hey, can you help me out? Get me some services. So we have a great department. We have a lot of services, and I can pull from so many different divisions in our department to get people services. For example, yesterday, I won't mention the neighborhood, but out of respect for the people. But I went into this neighborhood, and there's some drama going on. I did have to make an arrest, but out of that, there's a couple that were living out of a car, and I actually, they didn't have any food or nothing, so I was able to take them over for food for Greater Elgin. We have established these relationships. I knocked on the door. Of course, they were closed, and they came to the door. I'm like, oh, I remember you. They don't always remember us by name, and I'm terrible with names as well, but they remember us by faces.
Yeah.
And I was able to go in there. They're like, yeah, come on in the back. We'll put together a couple packages for them. We got them some food, and on their way. And one thing about Elgin that we've been seeing is a lot of people come to this town from other towns because we have these services. We have the churches. We have social workers here at the police department. And thanks to the taxpayers of Elgin and to our chief and our city council, we have free social work here at the police department. And like I've explained to a lot of these younger officers, is that sometimes people just want to be heard. They just want to be heard. Whether they're the victim or the suspect, they just want to be heard. One thing I did that surprised me, which I didn't realize, is that some of our residents in Elgin, one person approached me one time because there was somebody that needed some help, and they said, hey, do you guys have services for these people? And we have an amazing technical division and department. It's called a DACRA. We have a DACRA program. This is all of our online ticketing. Well, we have also online services where an officer on the street, we can hit a button and it prints up the churches that have food. It prints up social workers. It prints up VA services.
Veteran services.
So all this information is printed up on a sheet, and we hit one button, we pull it out, we hand it over to them, and they have it all right away, ready to go. So for somebody that, for example, is looking for, food, like I just talked about, they have immediately access to all this information. So some of our residents out there didn't realize that Elgin Police, we do this, as well as other agencies out there, but this information's updated all the time. For example, I may come into something where, this agency offers this. There's Willow Creek. They have a CARS program off of Shales Parkway. They'll actually work on your vehicle for people that are really in need. Let's say, whatever it may be, they'll help you out and get these services. I get this information. I hand it over to our agency, and they put this in on the sheet. So again, some people don't realize that policing is more than just arresting people, which needs to be done at times, and enforcement of speeding motorcycles down the roadway.
Yeah.
But it's a little bit of everything. We are on the front lines of some people's worst day. And one thing I really do like about my job is that this job puts me in the position to be able to get these people these services. Like Officer Heel, she comes from a small town. She comes into this town and realizes how much more we have. But even though Elgin is what's our population, about 130?
120?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, so even though we have a pretty large city, it's almost like a small little town to me. We have services. I walk down the street and people wave and hi to me, have a cup of coffee, stop by. So it had been almost 20, on my 23rd year here. I even forget street names at times, and maybe I'm getting older, but
Combination, Kevin.
Yeah. So, but it has that small town feel. I think you guys would agree with me.
Yeah.
120,000 people. You have to work to get that small town feel, which is what you're saying that the police department does. You work to try to make sure that people know each other and feel comfortable with each other, even though this, by numbers, is a pretty big city.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, we're the sixth largest city in the state of Illinois. We're the sixth largest police department. And I think when you see the kind of the evolution of an officer's career, Kayla, 3 years on, Kevin, 23rd in his 23rd, 24th year. I think it's important that you see the philosophy, though, right? So that's the important thing of what the Elgin Police Department, what our philosophy is. There are times when, yes, absolutely, like Kevin said, there's the enforcement part of our job, right? And that's part of being a police officer. But you have to do enforcement. You have to be smart about it. You have to keep the officers safe, the community safe. Then you have the engagement side, which is why it's so important, because when you engage with a community and truly engage, you're doing that for the future. When you sit down with people who do not like the police or have issues with the police, and you're having these conversations that Kayla's having, you're impacting a whole generation of young kids. So when Kayla sits there and Kevin, and I'm sure you've seen kids that we've probably had at rope camp, and now they're adults and they remember Kevin. And so when you build that relationship from the beginning, the benefit and the positive result of that, but if you don't extend your hand at first because you don't want to, don't think you need to, right? You're never going to impact the future generations. And so it's always been very important to me that we extend our hand first and say, what can we do for you, right? And handling all these different things, whether we're talking about people experiencing homelessness, speeding, shots fired, whatever. There's so much stuff going on, right? But when we continue to have conversations, people have the right information, they see what we're trying to do, they meet the people behind the scenes who are, doing the work. And then you get to see that they're truly, really great people too, right? And that's why it's always important to me that the hiring philosophy of the Elgin Police Department has always been, and I've said it, hiring good people with good heads and good hearts. That's it. Because everything else, I can't undo if you're just a awful person, right? Like I can't train that out of you, right? And then, if you're just, not thinking how it impacts and what we do and how it impacts the broader community, I can't help you there either, right? So we want to have officers who, are really here and committed to do what we always and have always signed up for, which is to serve and protect. And the protect part is important, very, very important, and so is the service. So we have a couple minutes left here. So Kayla, anything that you want to push out? I mean, this was a very quick show, and Kevin, I know you had a lot of information that we wanted to talk about. So I have to bring Kevin back, and maybe the gentleman who called can call in too, right? Because here he is. He's alive.
I'm back. I'm back.
Yes. Kayla, real quick, anyone you want to say hi to, any information you want to push out, any events coming up or anything real quick that you want to say?
Yeah, I definitely. Well, I always have people I want to shout out. So Ken Labuda over in Willow Lake Estates, thank you so much for educating your community about what's going on and safety tips and stuff like that. Santo Garidi, who is part owner of part of the Tyler Creek Plaza, he has done a phenomenal job of not only cleaning up the area, like, physically with everything going on, but also he's got a lot of people wanting to come back there before, he took over. People were kind of staying away, but now it's such a busy area. So I want to shout him out. National Night Out, we had so many people that, either gave us money to help us put everything on or just showed up with their support. So NTN over there on North McLean, thank you so much. They donated school supplies, and to the kids over on Fleetwood. I could go on, so I'm just gonna stop.
And the
there.
fact that you know people's names and their organizations, I mean, this is what it's about, right? And then Kevin, shout outs, things coming up, anything that you want to say?
So I would love to have a big shout out to Amber Vondran with Public Works and the whole Public Works crew that works in the downtown and throughout the city. Whenever we have an issue, we need something, they're on it. So, and then some events that we have coming up. We have biking,
He's putting the
fishing,
music on, man.
It starts by itself.
bike fishing and Halloween, and so get ready for that and check out our website.
All right. Thank you guys for both being on the show. I appreciate what you both do. Thank you very much. And we will be back next week. So everyone have a safe weekend.
Yeah, thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming in, Kevin.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
All right, it's 9:30, and yep, the music does start at 9:30. So coming in next is Steve Thorne, and he's got the Senior Community Spotlight Show. Keep it right here on WRMN AM 1410 on a fabulous Friday. It's super hot in the studio. It's going to get hot this weekend outside, so stay hydrated, as the experts say.
If you are 50 years and older, you are welcome to join Elgin State Bank's sponsored movie days at Elgin Marcus Theater. It will always be on the second Thursday of each month. Doors open at 8:30 a.m. At 9 a.m., you will hear a very brief message from Sherry Aschenbrenner about upcoming senior events, and movies will begin at approximately 9:30 a.m. Coffee and a donut is complimentary. You can always call the movie theater hotline number of 847-888-7976 to find out what movies are playing each month. The cost is $3 if you are a member of Elgin State Bank, meaning you have an account there, and $5 if you are a non-member. And for more senior information, catch Sherry's Senior Showcase on the third Tuesday of every month at 9:15 a.m. right here on WRMN, AM 1410 and 96.7 FM. If you are 50 years and older, you are welcome to join Elgin State Bank's sponsored movie days at Elgin Marcus Theater. It will always be on the second Thursday of each month. Doors open at 8:30 a.m. At 9 a.m., you will hear a very brief message from Sherry Aschenbrenner about upcoming senior events, and movies will begin at approximately 9:30 a.m. Coffee and a donut is complimentary. You can always call the movie theater hotline number of 847-888-7976 to find out what movies are playing each month. The cost is $3 if you are a member of Elgin State Bank, meaning you have an account there, and $5 if you are a non-member. And for more senior information, catch Sherry's Senior Showcase on the third Tuesday of every month at 9:15 a.m. right here on WRMN, AM 1410 and 96.7 FM.
B-Lux Bar and Grill, Wisconsin Dells, is the quintessential American grill and bar, with refined rustic cuisine and award-winning libations. Their honest, feel-good food menu is complemented by a beer list to satisfy every taste. Classic cocktails and our signature shakes, rich and creamy with a splash of boozy goodness just to shake things up a little bit. B-Lux Grill and Bar, classic American cuisine with a contemporary twist.
Villa's 3 locations offer much more than their signature Italian beef. Try the Italian sausage, roasted chicken, and more. There's a big variety of delicious side dishes. Beef Villa uses quality ingredients from homemade recipes, and they purchase top-of-the-quality food products from their vendors to bring you the absolute best tasting of foods. Beef Villa's great service and quality are waiting for you, but you won't be waiting long because it's always hot and fresh. Visit beefvilla.com.